Well, Greg, we just interviewed Bill Hurd on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. This is the Lighthead online video show. We had a good talk with Bill. It was we covered a whole bunch of topics as we usually do with those business owners in Nailed. I think the Lighthead listeners will really appreciate this recap of you and I discussing what we talked about with Bill.
Yeah, he's really covered all different avenues of the lighting industry. He's been worked with a manufacturer, distributor, now a lighting distributor, now and a large electrical distributor. So has a lot of knowledge, knows a lot about the industry, and we had a great discussion, and this recap will outline that.
Yeah, and for the TED listeners, he's now working for a very large electrical distributor, so you'll probably be able to really identify with, he has a division within the company that he runs. That's the lighting part of it. So enjoy, guys. This episode of the show is sponsored by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, baby. KeystoneTech.com. Hey, Greg, what about Keystone? Make it quick, 15 seconds.
High quality product, great service, good price, and good offering of options out in the marketplace.
Come on, go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KEYSTONETECH.com. I just love talking to Nail people.
There's nothing better, man. It's something where you can just relate to them, and this is a very Nailed-esque conversation.
Totally.
This is what we have at our conventions. We get together, talk this through. I mean, all lighting conventions you can do this stuff at. But that's why it's so nice to talk in person and see people and have a discussion.
Sure.
Because he does what we do, and he knows where we're coming from, and we know where he's coming from, and it's just everything relates.
How many times I sat down with Bill Hurd and just asked him for his advice, dude? Oh, man, at least a dozen times.
Been in the business in lighting for 30 some years.
Yeah, and just, hey man, what do I do with this? Yeah, I remember when I was having this problem with T5HO ballast, and he sat me down and he said, here's what you're gonna do. Go talk to that guy right over there and tell him your problem. And like 5 minutes later, the problem was solved. So, I mean, right. Guys like that's what the whole Nail thing. People don't realize what it's actually about. I mean, LS1, LS2, LS controls, all this stuff is great, and the newsletters and da-da-da-da. It's about that, what we just did right there on that podcast, man. That's what it is.
Oh, for sure. We covered, just about every topic that's hot right now, and you bounce around to different ideas, but it's what it's about. I think that tariff thing I brought up just because it's something that we've got to get a better handle on, because nobody really knows, and I don't know what it's going to be, and I guess we just got to wait, but it just seems crazy that that we don't know how it's going to affect us, but it might.
I don't think it's a bluff on China. I mean, there is a need for it. I think that Canada and the United States should have a straight up trade agreement, and I think that there needs to be renegotiated with Mexico. Unfortunately, the Canadian Prime Minister is a total dumbass, and he's making his priorities wrong. He's taking the side of Mexico instead of the United States. I don't get that at all. But anyway, off topic from lighting. You know what I loved about talking to Bill about, though? When I brought up the matrix with him and I laid it out, he sat back like this and he went like this. And he knew exactly what I meant about being in the facilities, having signed all the documents and all that stuff, but then having all the control over what gets installed and what doesn't.
It was pretty crazy when you stop and actually think about it. It's something that you don't do, but yeah, you're doing all this. You're working for certain size companies where you have to sign documents, provide your license, say you're not going to do whatever on site. All these forms you got to fill out, and then at the end of the day, you do the lighting, do whatever you want.
And who knows if you even know if those tubes, like some company could have come to you and said, hey, you know what? I got a $2 LED tube for you. It's DLC certified just for you. I just need to clear out my inventory today. Meanwhile, you're implanting a spy technology into a foreign government into whatever U.S. tech company. It's hilarious because I bet you like even some of the big major defense contractors in the States, the one always slips my mind, but it always reminds me of Robin Watt talking about them at Light Fair doing rebates too. They make bombs and they do rebates. What was that company's name? They're huge, dude.
I know
Northrop Grumman. It's the other one. But anyway, and it's like, they could be like, yeah, you got to sign all this document. And you go in there and you put in LED tubes that are spying on them. It's like, It's nuts, dude. And it would be so easy to do.
Yeah.
Because they're all bidding out the prices. Lowest price wins. Local contractor signs something. And there's some spy sitting in the parking lot configuring the spy system.
Yeah. No, I think that, that the pricing deal too is just something that um, interests me. That the fact that a tier one can come in and say, "Hey, we're going to increase our price," and
That's
people
always
accept it.
hilarious.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's at the point where it's not acceptable. They can say whatever they want,
Yeah.
but sorry,
Just when you stop sending the POs, then they call you.
say, "Oh, what happened?" Well, you raised your price by 5%.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh, well, we're going to reduce it by 10%. Okay, now we'll start buying
Now we're
maybe.
back. Yeah. It's funny because it's funny how easy it is for us in our position to just turn the tap off on a
Yeah.
particular supplier. Like if you
Yep.
don't like the way they behaved, you just go like this. And all of a
Yep.
sudden, the sales rep's running down to see you. And, oh, what was all that tough talk about the 5% or about not filling your warranty or whatever? What happened to all that? Oh, yeah, we changed our mind. We're going to fix it real quick. Okay,
Yeah,
let
we're
me
going to
just
take care of this.
Yeah. And in fact, what else you can do? I actually made a vendor really screwed me years and years ago. And I'm a big believer in the revenge is a dish best served cold. So I completely turned off the tap. I went from they were my biggest vendor, and I didn't hurt myself. Over time, I kind of weaned the company off them. Right?
Yep.
I didn't put the brakes on right away. I just slowly weaned it off till it went down to almost nothing. And the sales rep came in like three years later. A new manager came in. And what happened? So I explained the situation. One of their sales reps was going into our customers and was, we weren't selling them all that particular product. So they got mad and they took our customer and went to someone else, another distributor, if you can believe that. Okay.
Well,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
Isn't that crazy? He's like, you're not supporting our company fully. So what, whatever. And they did this. So I turned the tap off and I made the guy cut me a check.
For the difference?
Yeah. I don't know what it was, but I know what the check amount was. It was $22,000, but I made him to cut me a check for me to reopen my account with him.
Setting up deals, huh?
Yeah, dude, screw you, buddy. You don't tell me what to do. You don't know my business. I'm not a dealership. This is not a dealership. This is a distributor. We do what we want,
Right.
son. You just you just remember that, out there. And I'm not trying to talk tough. I mean, maybe I am trying to talk tough. I don't know. But Greg, I miss Billy, man. I miss Bill Hurd.
Yeah, no, and he had a lot of good points there, and he just summed up, being an entrepreneur too, and the importance of having that. And I think your point was good too. That he talked about there's some risk in doing it, but the fact that it might not be as risky as you think all the time. And
Sometimes
I think
it's a bigger
we found
risk to
that
stay. Yeah, I know people. So in Canada, there's a trend right now in Ontario, just because of the employment laws. I've talked about it before, and people may not be interested in this, but people are starting to fire people in their early 50s rather than wait for them to retire. Because if the people don't retire and they fire them, the package is way bigger when they're 65 than it is when they're 52. So what's happening now with a lot of Canadian corporations is there's because they've made the law so hard on for discrimination, age discrimination laws, people are firing people in their late 40s and 50s simply because they're in their late 40s and 50s, but not saying that. They're saying, oh, it's performance based. And, let's say you worked a career of 25 years at a company and you're at the top now and you're doing good or whatever. And the company strategy is now, well, hey, we better be careful because in 15 years, this guy's going to retire and he might not retire. So we better fire him now. That's crazy, dude. But that's happening, dude. It's happening in Ontario because of the punitive employment laws. So people are going before the courts and when they're 65 saying, I was forced to leave work, it's ageism and all this sort of stuff. They're awarding them these hundreds of thousands of dollars, and companies are looking at going, well, you know what? I'm just not going to employ you till you're 65. Then I'm going to fire you when you're 50. So that payout, if you have to pay you, is way less because you still have 10 years or 15 years to earn or whatever it is. So I think it's less risky to be an entrepreneur if you have that in you and you're good at it. I think it's less likely. Get a stake in the business, man. Why not? Find a way in. That's what you did. You paid. How much money did you pay for Premier Lighting? You tell us.
It's off. It was free. Just worked it off.
Just worked it. Well, you had to. Yeah, you had to pay out of your profits.
No, definitely had to pay some. I'm not going to tell you. This is live. This is TV, man, or whatever it is online.
Come on, tell me how much it was.
But I paid some. Paid some money.
Yeah.
The other awesome point that I thought he brought up, and I don't know the answer. I know part of it, but is time. But our biggest competitor is an uneducated customer base. He said that, and that really rings true with me because it is the title. Yeah, you think about it, and that's I write it and I circle it. That's what that is. But it just makes so much sense to me because there's so many times I go to a place and I've been told no recently a couple times, And then I say, okay, well, let me dive into why it's no. And I dive into no, and I rescue the job, and I get it back because they're uneducated about what the competitor brought to them. It wasn't what we talked about. And,
We're
I
in
can't
that
tell you how
situation
often
right
that
now.
happens.
We're in that situation right now with a customer where they're like, the customer's like, your price is higher. And we're like, that's a low price, man. Like, we're looking at each other.
Yeah.
We're like, that's a low price, man. What's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like, so I just picked up the phone and called the president. And I said, okay, man, something's going on here because there's something different. So they're reviewing it. But it's like so many people, they don't realize that, oh, he's not including the outdoor lighting. Oh, he's not including that lobby, those high
Exactly.
HIDs in the lobby or whatever, the stuff that's hard to get to, and that's $7,000 or whatever to change those out. Or he didn't do the sensors up on the mezzanine or something like that, and it's not included. Yeah, I mean, it's tough for us, but doing podcasts all day. When do you have time to do this no stuff, Greggy? Come on,
Before
man.
and after, you got to get in there. You got to
Get
dive
after
into it.
Yeah,
Working
so
all the time.
Yeah, for sure. So other than that, man, I don't know if the Matrix thing is going to keep going. Everyone seems to be. I love the way he caught it right away, though. I love that. I love it when someone gets it right away. They lean back and they're like, "Oh, that's our move."
Yep.
All right, man. Thanks for listening, folks.